Thank you, Pastor Bridget. Good morning, Plymouth. Good morning to all. I just want to make a few prefatory remarks before I kind of give my spiel. Number one, a lot of my speech comes from the mindset of a librarian. I just started master's school, so forgive me for that. But yeah, it's kind of getting indoctrinated in me at this point. Secondly, my name is Stephen Fretz. I've been with Plymouth for about 2 years. I was asked to give a speech or just a little talk about one of the 6 practices of faith, and I chose passionate prayer. So I wanted to just give a few types of forms of prayer, contexts that we seek prayer. Obviously, I looked at the program today, and it was lockstep in line with my speech. Peace be to you, as Christians use. Namaste, as is a Sikh salutation to God. Assalamu alaikum can be in Muslim way to greet God. Shalom, a Jewish way. And a Nichiren Buddhist would say Namyo Horenge Kyo, which they seek divine inspiration within the Lotus Sutra. I also want to jump to more formats. I recently saw a haiku from a blog that says, "In the summer noise, librarians search for truth. A blog goes silent." And then we have Dionne Warwick's classic 1967 chart topper, and forgive me, I will be singing "Say a Little Prayer for You." And thank you, Pastor Bridget. And my favorite sound of all time, "My Sweet Lord" by George Harrison. So I wanted to just jump ahead, and as I said, forgive me for thinking of things as a librarian, but the first thing I thought of is prayer as information. And the Oxford Dictionary in 1989 listed information as that which forms or molds our mind. In other definitions, information differentiates itself from data in that we assign information meaning. So in the many contexts and prayers that we just talked about, do we as Christians assign meaning to our prayers? As a Christian myself, I pray to God in a variety of ways. One of them is the traditional hands-folded silent reflections. And sometimes I envision God getting my message and I wait for the announcement, "You've got mail," before shutting off the image. For I censor myself at that point because I don't really have any right to question God's decisions. I've learned that the hard way. God will reorient you and change you at any time and at any place. But the meaning I assign to prayers is in their agency to change me and to change the world. Bitterness? God, what is there here I'm not seeing? Judgment? God, I'll take a piece of humble pie, please. Corruption? What can I do, O Lord, to take this person or entity to task? Pastor Bridget did an excellent sermon on, well, what do you expect? I don't know about y'all, but I ask for miracles, I expect miracles, and I get miracles. A lot of times I think I overestimate what God should be giving me, and instead should be focused on what God has given me to accomplish my prayers. One of the points I draw from personally is in my second favorite book in the whole wide world, Zora Neale Hurston's Their Eyes Were Watching God from 1937. Janie, the main character, states at the end that everyone has to do 2 things for themselves. They got to go to God, and they got to find out about living for themselves. Now, I personally believe that prayer molds the essence of who I am. In an exercise at a former church of mine, the Reverend had us pair off with someone whom we felt close to and whose facial reactions we sought for encouragement. It could also not be a family member. She asked one partner to respond in a stream of conscious way to a question posed while the other remained quiet but receptive. What was the first question? First question was, how do you want to be seen by any given individual in your life? And the horses wore off. I want to be seen as a good brother, a good son, a good friend, one who lends an ear, one who drives home a good point, one who can express his feelings, a generous soul, a lover, a passionate person, a funny one, a spontaneous one, an intellectual one, a sexy one. Because let's face it, people, we all want to be sexy to at least one person in our life, even if it just is ourselves. An animal lover, a book lover, a life lover, a music lover, an art lover, a trivia enthusiast, a chess enthusiast, a food connoisseur, a wine connoisseur, person of the world, a worldly person, an information seeker, a student, a teacher, an introvert, an extrovert, a lover of the color red, a lover of the color orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Heck, why not? I am a reading rainbow. Are you? And if you didn't get that joke, you probably don't have too many friends of Dorothy. The next question, how do you want to be seen in your community? After that, how do you want to be seen in your world? Now, what would you think or expect the redundancy rate was as these questions went up? From the individual level to the community level, one person said approximately about 70% of the same list. From the community level to the world level, around 80%. The point of this exercise was to show two things: the scalability of our hopes and prayers, and the fact that how we perceive the world and our involvement in it comes down to our front porch. Now, certainly humans cannot change everything. There are things that need a divine hand. The pointless suffering of infants, why at times we are harder on the ones that we love than on strangers, why people fall madly in honest love then back out of it just as fast, why people need to stay in emotional and physically abusive relationships, the plethora of plagues and pillages on the people of the world. And I think it is in these prayers of deliverance that we seek a catharsis through good reflection, through wails, a good deal of tears. And some may ask, isn't it selfish or ineffective to pray about this when others are suffering so needlessly? To which I retort, isn't it they who may benefit the most as we try to envelop them in a community, at the very least a community of prayers? I would also say this type of passionate prayer lends itself to another important practice of faith, life-giving Bible study. For the isolated and the scared, in all of us, may we take refuge in a sense of community in Jesus, John 17:21, that they may all be one, even as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee, that the world may believe that thou didst send me. A prayer just as echoes in the words of Abraham. Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Genesis 18, verse 23. In fact, this dialogue between Lord and Abraham is a fascinating one, I find, because both parties are there. And we do struggle and wrestle with God sometimes in that it feels like God versus us. But have you ever considered that God is revealing to us what kind of God he is through our prayers? Please, God, show your mercy on my mom's pain has often led to mercy and forgiveness on my part for any real or perceived injustice by her. If we want to take a look at miracles and self-sacrifice, read about Hannah's prayer, Samuel chapter 1. And maybe my prayer is about which path to take to be a good friend, a good brother, to press weight on the right foot, so to speak. Solomon's prayer is one of a librarian because it transforms data to information to knowledge. King Solomon asked in 1 Kings, therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? If I may suggest this disciples' book, a book of daily devotions. I'm not saying that you'll agree with every aspect or every entry, but at least you can usher in a dialogue between you, maybe your children, and God. I want to thank whomever suggested that I give this speech, because the phrase, well, your name kind of came up, it's a little enigmatic to me. Yes, the speech gave me an opportunity to introduce myself, to explore one of my favorite practices of faith, and to finally thank UCC for the same cast and characters which have graced me with their presence over the past 2 years. So, without further ado, and I think I'll do this because I think a lot of people feel the same way about a lot of people here. My prayer of thanksgiving goes to Pastor Bridget, who, in keeping lockstep with her radiance, the way she says good every Sunday, it's just like somebody taking a sweet bite of the juiciest pear ever. So thank you for that. For Pastor Andrew, the stentorian and soothing way every other Sunday you say, in the arms of our loving Father. I don't know. I just love it. For the Klebar's lovey-doveyness. For Donna, Charlie, and the whole musical gang whose talents we don't have to pay for on a weekly basis, but could charge nonetheless. For John and Angel, because I know when I greet John on Sunday, a good bit of mischief is coming my way. And for John's forthrightness. For Emily Albert, who is one rockin' Mama Jamma. For Bruce and Art, who inform me every week of the misshelvings at the UWM libraries. For both David and Tomas, for their shared spirit and David's extroversion. For Bill Frank, who always calls me, hey, kiddo. For Michael and Yusuf, their curiosity. For the naval support of the church. For the Hackbar's kids' adorable chubby cheeks. For Jerry Gratz's tender spirit. For Lee Gruenwald's smile. For Chris Jameson's encouraging soul. For the Holmes welcoming me. For Jennifer Morales and Tina Owens' endeavoring personalities. For Julie Everett, the rabble-rouser. For Daniel Rouse Jones' keen insight. For Josh Simon's passion. For Jack Weimer's stories. For Alan Steinke's warm-heartedness. For Andy Villa's enthusiasm. For the Audettes' sincerity and playfulness. For the chair's generosity. For Emily Brooks' humor and Roger's steadfastness. And to our visitors, and for the forefathers of this church, and for those whom are to follow. And thanks be to God who shines through everyone and everything. And for the many others whom I forgot, thank you, and amen.